We're back with Ann Ames, a nurse practitioner with Cone Health Allergy and Asthma Center of North Carolina. Let's talk about insects. You know, the kinds with the stingers, the bees, the wasps, the yellow jackets, all that kind of stuff. What should we do if we get stung and we think that there might be a possible allergic reaction?
Well, stinging insects love to come out in the summer sun just like we do. Most people only have minimal reaction to stinging insects aside from the pain of the sting itself. Topical anti itch cream, antihistamine, and ice packs are usually enough to treat those symptoms. However, a small portion of the population is prone to anaphylaxis from insect stings. Symptoms can begin within seconds to minutes of the sting, and they can include hives, shortness of breath, trouble breathing, chest pain, and abdominal symptoms like nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. They can also include dizziness and headache. And it is important to note that if you have symptoms from two or more body systems, so breathing, respiratory, GI, or skin, that is anaphylaxis, and you need to administer epinephrine and call 911.
Excuse me, I
So,
was going to
one,
sneeze right on TV now that we're talking about allergies. All right, let's talk about fire ants. Because so often you're camping or something like that, or hiking, you step on a mound of fire ants. How do we know if we're allergic to that? What would it look like? What should we do?
yes, so we see this more frequently over the summer just because we're outside more. And if this happens to you, brush the ants off quickly. The fire ants hold onto your skin with their jaw or mandible, and they sting over and over. So the faster you can brush them off, the fewer stings you're going to actually get. Move away from the ant mound and then wash off any of the remaining ants with water. Treat the stings just like you would a bee sting with the topical anti-itch cream, the antihistamine, and the ice. And then remember, if two or more body systems are involved, this requires epinephrine and 911.
That is a really good point. I hadn't heard that before. Two different body systems that are being
Mhm.
impacted. All right, let's talk about some food allergies. They're year round, of course, but summertime is picnics, trip with friends and family, going with other families, that kind of stuff. What are your top recommendations for navigating that?
So, for much of the population, summertime is a prime time for socializing. With kids out of school for summer break, activities can include summer camp, day trips, and overnights with friends. It's important to take steps to prevent against accidental ingestion of the allergenic food. A lot of this preparation is centered around the child's age. So, for younger children, caregivers are mostly in charge of managing food allergies, knowing the food that they're allergic to, reading labels, making sure epinephrine devices are up to date and available. And one really important thing for caregivers is for every caregiver to know how and when to give that epinephrine. For young adults and for teenagers and young adults, the focus shifts away from the caregiver to the individual. So it's really important for them to be aware of their allergies and keep epinephrine pens. These have mostly been available as really bulky auto injectors, and there is something new on the market. It's relatively new. It's a nasal epinephrine called Neffy, and this is exciting because it is small, it's easy to carry, and it's needleless.
Okay, we've got about a minute and a half or so. I want to make sure we get to this. What about if you're the host and you don't know if someone who's coming over has a food allergy or not? What should you be doing?
Important thing to know is food allergies are fairly common. 1 in 10 people have a food allergy. So if you're having a get together, it's likely that somebody at your get together has a food allergy. You can find out about food allergies at the time you invite them. And then there are excellent websites you can go to look up substitutions for allergenic foods. One of them is FARE, FARE, Food Allergy Research and Education.
Okay, and if people are traveling and they know that they have allergies, not just food allergies, but the pollen, insect allergies, what should they be taking with them?
Really, this is a great time to make sure that your epinephrine devices are up to date. They expire yearly. The expiration date is printed right on the device. And also, it's a great time to review your emergency action plan. This is a document that states what you're allergic to: food, insects, It spells out the symptoms that you may be experiencing, and then based on your symptoms, it guides treatment.
Okay. All right. Well, we thank you for your time and your expertise. And if there's someone there who's got a whole bunch of allergies or they know someone else who does, this interview is going to be posted in the 2-year well-being section of our website. Now we're going to get out there to the weather where all the pollen is. Hey, Alex.